Oh, shite. Oh, well. Okay. Oh, damn. Let's try again. Oh, okay, that needs to be filled out. Well, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever it might be, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. It has been a very long time, again. I keep meaning to actually get better at this, but at some point I will probably actually get a little bit better at actually doing videos on a fairly regular basis. But Happy New Year, new haircut, so slightly shorter than I was liking about it. It was alright. If you live in London, you should really go to a place called Restyle on Eastcheap near the Gherkin. I went in there and had this haircut done by a very nice guy called George, who also did this a bit weird thing where apparently they get like a sort of a balm thing and they cover it in alcohol and they then set light to it and they then tap it on your ears, which kind of burns all the hair off your ears. Now, and I mentioned it to a colleague at work, and apparently that's a thing, and you know, okay, fine. I've never had that remotely ever done. I thought that was a little bit weird, but you know, fair enough. If that's kind of what you're going for, I suppose. But that's not what I'm talking about tonight. I'm going to be talking about what I've been playing, some various kind of things, and also taking you through some of the various tech which I have managed to procure over the Christmas break. One of which is a PlayStation Vita, which is this little device right here, which I'll probably start with actually, since I'm holding it. I might as well. My view on this PlayStation Vita is I like it. Now I kind of got it because I wanted to sort of thing. Actually, we'll come a little bit closer so you can see the nice entry screen all there, which I think is great. I think it's a really, really nice piece of tech. But the thing I really was interested in, I've been playing a couple of things. I've been playing Guacamelee, there's some other sort of stuff I've been sort of having a look at, which is all good. But the thing I really wanted to do is to have a look at the PS4 and have a look at remote play and see how that kind of worked. So you basically, once you get your PlayStation Vita, you know, you do this, and you can see there's a button there, which I will just show you there. See? You tap that, press start. This has been synced to the PS4. So if I then press remote play, and this, I'm sure you've all seen this, but I'm just going to sort of demonstrate where we kind of are. There we go, right. Connecting to the PS4 system. I hope you might have heard that little beep, so it's just connected and it's just turning on, and now it's going to allow me to activate it. Now, I have to say, I have tried using this out of the house, and I haven't had much success yet over Wi-Fi. I took it to my parents over Christmas, because I kind of cheated. I bought it for myself before Christmas because I wanted to test it, and I have to be honest, that didn't work particularly well actually. I mean, I tried looking for it and it kind of got into its thing and tried to sort of find the PS4, wasn't able to do it, wasn't able to get anywhere near it, to be honest, and after like sort of 5 or 6 minutes of doing it, kind of gave up. I have to be honest though, the idea that you could sort of play this remotely at home, you know, if you've got kids or whatever, and the thing is actually, to be fair, the latest, if I just turn it up, you know, and there is my PS4 toolbar, which I think is great. I think it's brilliant. I really like the sort of way that it looks. So I'm going to log into Assassin's Creed here. There we go. You can see I'm logging into Assassin's Creed Black Flag. And then we can just play Black Flag. Now the one thing I will say about the Vita, I think remote play, like I said, looks really, really, really well. I think it's a great feature. The only problem I really have with it is the fact that Assassin's Creed is set up for it, and I think it actually works very well. But I don't think that the touchpad on the back actually works that well with some games, and I'll explain why. So, with something like Assassin's Creed, to run, so there you go, it's running. It's very good. So I'll just log in. There we go. I'm really enjoying, just as a complete sort of aside, Assassin's Creed. Well, actually, I'll talk about it, sort of thing. So you can see this gentleman here. I'll just hold it up. Hello. One of the things I would say about remote play is that for Assassin's Creed, it works really, really well, actually. And the reason is it's all to do with the button mapping. So, as you probably know, if you're playing Assassin's Creed, you hold down the L2 or the R2 buttons. I mean, I'll just have a look at that. I mean that to me is absolutely fantastic. I think you've got a kind of beautiful screen, all the rest of it. There's the latency, I have to be honest, is almost minimal. It's absolutely fantastic. But the one thing I would say, I'll just sort of shut that down now, is this. I mean, for example, if I try to I just tap that on the back, when you try to sort of then switch between sort of trying to fire mortars on a boat or trying to look at things on a boat, that gets quite difficult actually. I'm just going to turn that down. I'll just navigate back to the screen. There you go, and then I've just pressed that and I've navigated straight back to the screen. Now, the thing as I said, it works very well for Assassin's Creed. I don't think there's any problems with Assassin's Creed. I think it looks great, it plays very well, because the great thing is that what they've done is that they've mapped the L2 and the R2 buttons are kind of mapped, sorry, I think it's L1 and R1 buttons actually for Assassin's Creed, are mapped to the two shoulder buttons. So making Edward jump around, jump on things, jump off things, all the rest of it is absolutely fine. There's no problems with that at all. I have tried remote play out with games like Blacklight Revolution, at which point you encounter a real problem. Because the problem is that they've altered, from the PS3 to the PS4, they've altered it kind of, so that rather than, used to aim with L1 and fire with R1, now you aim with L2 and fire with R2. And this is a problem, because those buttons are matched to the touch buttons on the back, and it just doesn't work very well. I mean, they need to redo that, I think. Like I said, with Assassins, the only times I've had real problems is when I'm trying to sort of, effectively, I'm on the ship and I tap it because I want to, get the mortar up so I can then bomb the opposing ship. Which, it's a bit of a pain, but it kind of works reasonably well, just because of the way that they've mapped those buttons. Whereas Blacklight Revolution, I tried it also with Warframe, I've tried it with others as well, it just doesn't quite work. And a little bit the same with DC Universe Online, because you don't have the kind of the mapping, or because the L3 and R3 have been mapped to touch buttons, it's a little bit difficult to actually make your superhero fly properly and all the rest of it. So I think Vita's great. I think Vita will work very, very well with games where the button mapping works, and they've thought about that. But I have to say, like I said, Blacklight Revolution, all the rest of it, I imagine with Call of Duty and Battlefield as well, it would get pretty blooming tedious if you find yourself doing this, because you can't actually bring up the scope and fire and all the rest of it. So remote play at the moment, I'm going to probably say is about a 6 out of 10. It really does depend on the game. I do think it's great that with PlayStation Plus you actually get a lot of Vita games for free. I mean, at the moment you can get, and the thing is, one thing to say is you don't actually have to download them. Once you start downloading them, if you stop it, you then own the video, and you own the game, and you don't have to worry about having it on. Because one thing about the Vita I will say is that the memory cards are still prohibitively expensive. I don't know why they did that. I don't know why they just didn't give you sort of, I mean, if you can buy a 32 meg stick for a couple of quid, why you have to pay 50, 60 quid or whatever it is for what today we might think is a fairly small amount of memory, I think is just really silly. And I think it was a big mistake on Sony's part actually, that they made the memory for the Vita so expensive. It's not necessary. Aside from that, I think it's a great system. I like it very much. I haven't played as much of it as I was planning to actually, and that's because I have actually been playing something else recently, which is this, and I have been playing the new Pokemon game on the Nintendo DS. Now, I have to say, I am very impressed with it. I think there's been a lot of really, really interesting features that they've thrown into the new Pokemon game. Number one, experience share being available to all is just so useful. You go into the last sort of, all of your team are sort of ranking up at the same time. I think that's great. I think the fact that you just effectively at the beginning they just give you everything. It's like, hey, you want running shoes? You've got running shoes. You want, bike? Well, you've got roller skates. It's just so much easier to get around, to do stuff. Graphically, it looks fantastic. I do have a couple of gripes, which I'll go into in a second. I think I love all the new animations. I love the fact that they actually look, look active. I mean, for example, Panaper, I think it is, the little red monkey guy. When he uses his Incinerate, it looks great. Gets that. There's great emotions. I love the fact that Pikachu obviously comes out and goes Pika. It's great. I love it. That's all really, really good fun. I think it's one of the better Pokemon games. It does have some problems. I think it's quite short. I mean, 2 weekends, basically good playing, you will finish it, and I have finished it now. I actually think it's quite easy. I remember the older Pokemon games, things like the Elite Four, things like the Champions, and even the Gym Leaders would give you a thorough kicking. I didn't have any problems, and I didn't have a situation where any of my Pokemon were of a lower experience level than the #1 Pokemon of each of the Gym Leaders. I mean, usually what would happen is I'd go in and I'd have like 25, 26, whatever, and obviously they'd only have like 2 or 3, but one of them would like be a level 30, and that would be like the one that would like, kick the arse of most of my team. That didn't happen this time around. I like a lot of the new Pokemon. I think my favourite of the new ones is definitely Tyrantrum, or Tyrantrum, I think is what he's called. Who's a sort of you get an option at one point whether you want to pick up various fossils, and I chose the Teeth fossil, and that turned into Tyrant, who is basically like a little T-Rex. So it's like a T-Rex dragon rock type, who I really like. Unfortunately, he's actually not the new pseudo legendary. There is something called Gloopa or whatever or Gudra, who's this kind of pinky purple thing, which I kind of I'm not a big fan of, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I've seen a lot of people saying, it's amazing, but I have a pseudo legendary team, thank you very much, on the which I have on what is that, Pokemon White 2. Which is just sitting waiting for the Pokemon bank system to finally come online, so I can start moving it all over. But of course, unless you've been under a rock, or if you don't like Pokemon games very much, and you're strange. Everyone should love Pokemon games. I've been playing them since 1995. One of the things to say about that is it's just been a complete mess. The irony being, of course, we were all told that if you went in early for the beta, you got a free Celebi. Well, they postponed the launch, so none of us can get a Celebi. So my hope is that they'll sort of, give stuff away in that respect. I mean, to be fair, that's one thing about Pokemon I've always annoyed me, is the kind of region locking stuff. The fact that there are all of these legendaries and all the rest of it in the game, which you just can't get your hands on because you don't have a magic ticket and you don't live in Japan and you can't go along to somewhere where they give out all these free. I mean, that's always really peed me off about the way Nintendo have done it. I also think, like I said, I think it's a bit short. One of the other things that does annoy me sometimes in this one particularly is the way that sometimes you'll zoom in, and particularly in the main like Luamoy City. That's a real pain in just trying to figure out where you're going and where you want to be. There were a couple of times I was like, literally, where the hell am I going? I think it is too short. If you compare that to White or Half Home Hold Silver, Soul Silver, Heart Gold, once you beat the main game, you basically had the entire Kanto to suddenly go and have a fly around and have a punch up in, and that extended the game massively. The fact that because of this bank system you cannot transfer over any from the originals is just stupid, that's just really annoying. I kind of want to get all my Pokemon in. I mean, I was looking, I've been sort of moving them all over now to White 2 again. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds there now, built up over like 15 years, whatever it is, of playing. Still haven't got Mew. I did have Mew at some point, I think I've lost it. But they're all there, and I just need to bring them in. I mean, I think I'm looking forward to it because it'll just be nice to... I like the idea of online storage. I don't know why they haven't done it before. Just get them all up there so that I can constantly have them saved, and anytime I have a new game, I can just pull them all down, and I can just keep working towards the decks and all the rest of it. So yeah, I mean, I think they're great. I think the new one is good, but I do think it has shortcomings. Literally being one of it is too short. I also think it's a bit too easy. If you've played a lot of Pokemon, you will find that. one other thing I do want to talk about is the fairy Pokemon issue. So one of the things they introduced in X, and I wasn't aware of this at the time when I bought the game, is the fact that you can, there's a new type. And they've retyped a lot of the older Pokemon, things like Jigglypuff, etc., are no longer normals, they're no longer Sightward or the rest of it. Granbull as well, I mean, flipping big pink dog, I mean, it's the most ugly fairy I've ever seen. But they're all fairy types, which you think, yeah, fine, whatever. Except that fairies are super effective against dragons, and dragons have no effect on fairies. So basically, an entire world of people's, super, pumped up dragon teams, and my pseudo-legendary team, for reference that being Garchomp, Salamence, Tyranitar, Metagross, Dragonite, and who have I left out? Hydreigon, is now kind of ineffective, mostly, except for the fact that fairies are very weak to steel. So Metagross, level 100 Metagross will still tear through a fairy team like that. So you just need to, it's one of the reasons I think you need to have a dragon team alone will now get owned. And I actually went in, one of the Elite Four in the game is a dragon, but actually I had a dragon type I should say, but I actually had a Lucario with Dragon Rush or whatever it was, Dragon Beam, I can't remember, one of the dragon attacks. Shoved him up to Mega Lucario. I quite like this new Mega Evolution thing. In a way, being greedy, I would actually just like them to add a 4th level evolution. Let's say level 100 evolution. I think that would be really cool. But I do like the fact that they are trying to mix it up a bit. But yeah, the first time I attacked a fairy and I balled out Tarantium, and it just said it has no effects. And I didn't know about the fairy types. I just kind of looked at it and was like, what? They've just neutered the most powerful, Pokemon. Some poxy little fairy thing is, is kicking my ass. But yeah, it's an interesting change. But one thing to bear in mind, as I said, is steel. If you have a steel type, or have someone like Snorlax, Snorlax is basically my fairy killer. Level 100 Snorlax with steel type move just tears through them. But like I said, when I get Metagross in, it won't make much difference. Doesn't seem to be many legendaries at the moment. I'm sure there are some more which I just haven't found yet. I think there's a couple of spirits. I mean, I've got about 40 legendaries now over all the years of adding them up. Got multiple versions of things like Zap. I've got about 5 Zapdos now. A couple of Palkia, a couple of Dialgas, all the rest of it. So at some point I might sort of offer those up and basically say, hey guys, if somebody wants to offer me a Pimplop or something like that, that would be really cool. Specifically, Darkrai is the one I really, really want. I've always wanted a Darkrai. Ever since I saw it years ago in the anime, I just thought it was this really cool, dark, sexy Pokemon. If that doesn't sound strange. Who I never managed to get hold of because, like I said, it was all region locked because I was not in Japan, which really peed me off. Although I think my cousin has them all, so I might try and knock him up at some point. You know what I mean. To sort of get hold of those, and Arceus and various others, and that Gagnite, Ginsect, whatever the hell that was. But yeah, so I think it's good. I would give Pokemon X/Y probably about a 8 out of 10. Like I said, I think it's long enough, and I think there are too many little issues. But they have refined the format in such a way that does mean that you can really get it. And one of the other things apparently they've got rid of is EV training. EVs are gone. There is now a mini game apparently that allows you to do EVs up, which again, you think about the hardcore players out there who have spent years in this community doing this, and I love it, but I don't love it to that level, who have just seen literally years of work just smashed, which you kind of think, well, if this was a Call of Duty, and this was tournament play or something like StarCraft or Dota or something like that, you can understand when people go berserk, but I don't think the Pokemon community is quite as angry as that. Or maybe they are. Maybe I just haven't seen it on Reddit. I haven't seen the fury. I might actually Google. There's a very funny, which I'll put a link to, very funny video sort of taking the mick out of dragon types with fairies and all the rest of it, which is good. But overall, I think it's great. Like I said, I just think there were a few changes, and I think if you're an experienced Pokemon player, It is a bit easy. You will probably find yourself getting through every single battle very quickly without too many problems. And the Pokemon Bank not being available is a real bummer, because I do want to move them all over and get them uploaded. So yeah, that's kind of it. In terms of what I'm playing at the moment, as I finished that. I've got a load of stuff on the Vita. I need to I'm going to try to platinum Assassin's Creed. One thing I would say about Assassin's Creed 4 is I think the story was great. I think a lot of the new mechanics were brilliant. The bow combat's great. I love the open world. I love all the things. I love the sea shanties are a great collectible. It's great. You just want to hear. I mean, to be fair, you collect 2 or 3, and then after a while, you're like, okay, I'm getting really bored of hearing, bully in the alley every 5 minutes. So you end up collecting them all just to give yourself a bit of variety. One of the things I think that everyone who plays Assassin's Creed 4 should do is to make sure that when you have a listening mission or a follow mission or a tail mission, please give it 1 star, because it's so dull and so boring and so flipping monotonous. Just follow these people, do this, do that. That is rubbish. What is interesting in this one, I think, is the fact that there are 2 sexy suits of armour. So in every other, well, I don't think there was 1 in 3 actually, but in this one you actually have 2. So you have like the Templar armour, but if you are prepared to collect all the mine stuff, you get the mine armour. And the mine armour is excellent because it deflects bullets. Really worth getting that. But like I said, I think the tailing missions and the hide here, go in here, don't be seen, is so dull and so boring and so uninteresting that my ranking for it, I would say give it an 8 out of 10. It's definitely back to form. I think a lot of the new stuff is great. I'm a little bit annoyed that you don't have the kind of summon assassins to take people out. That wasn't the best things the series had done. But yeah, some of those mission designs are just so ancient and so dull that you do it like 5 times and you're like, oh, for flips sake. And then they start throwing in these really stupid things. It's like, make sure you kill 5 guards whilst following this guy. You're like, why? Just make it fun. Ubisoft needs to make that fun. All the other stuff, the kind of metaverse and all the rest of it, is great. I also think that I throw this out there, I actually think there is some truth in the rumour that the reason that Watch Dogs was delayed is because actually Watch Dogs is an Assassin's Creed. I absolutely believe that. I mean, there are references to the security system used in Watchdog in Assassin's Creed 4. If you read all the emails, if you collect everything, you will find references to it. I reckon that when you load up Watch Dogs, you will see Aspergo Entertainment. I think it is actually a continuation of the story in a slightly different version. They're doing a kind of things. And one of the other points somebody makes is you never see the face of the person. Could it not be that the guy you play in Watch Dogs is actually the guy who does the hacking in Assassin's Creed 4? Who knows? Could you be Aiden or whatever he's called? Possibly, but I think there are enough clues, and those emails particularly are a clue that this is all existing in one universe. So don't be surprised if actually Assassin's Creed, if Watch Dogs is actually a modern day Assassin's Creed, sort of, with the Templars and the Aspergo and all the rest of it. So yeah, I'm really excited for that one. The other thing I am looking forward to very much is Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2, which is the last game I will ever play on PS3. Poor PS3. Once I've played that and finished it, I'm going to box it and send it over to my mate. But yeah, I've been waiting for that for years, since 2009, 2010. I loved the first one. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. This new one looks like a kind of open world DMC, but with vampire sexy and smash stuff up. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the reviews of it. I mean, I will buy it and play it anyway. It doesn't really matter what the reviews, but I hope it does well, because it just looks fantastic, and I really hope that, the fact that, lots of people said when it first came out, oh, it's just a God of War clone. It was so much better than God of War. Had a dodge button that actually worked. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And I think that kind of does it for this video. So Vita good, remote play kind of okay, Pokemon good, don't like fairies, don't like the how short it is, bit easy, where's the Pokemon Bank, Nintendo sort your what's it out. Assassin's Creed 4, overall great, really enjoyable. It's a great holiday game, I would say, because it's nice and sunny and you basically you feel like Pirates of the Caribbean, you feel like Jack Sparrow, but some of the mission design is really terrible. And I do think that there will be a crossover with Watch Dogs in a not too distant future. So yeah, one of the things I'm going to try and do, at some point Sony should be releasing some sort of HD footage or capture footage for the PlayStation 4. If not, I might just use. I mean, this is a new this is a camera which I actually got a while back, but I didn't realise it had a weird sort of format. But I actually went online and discovered you can actually record in the MP4, which is great. So I might sort of try and sort of video myself playing through some of these and talking, and I am doing Twitch stuff as well. So if anybody wants me to do any Twitch streaming of stuff, I will. Other than that, I might look into investing in sort of a video capture card because I quite like talking, you might have noticed, so it'll be quite fun to do that. Anyway, have a good weekend, ladies and gents. Don't drink too much, don't get yourself in any silly situations, have a really great time, and I will talk to you all soon. Take care.